Welcome to Soul Purpose Healing. Unfortunately, Blog Talk Radio is having problems again. So, listen, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, please let your friends know that they can call in to the 727-731-5192 to comment. So that's where I'm going to leave that now. Let's just get this party started because one of my favorite sisters is coming back. And so we don't want to let Blog Talk throw us off. We pivot. That's what we do around here. When Blog Talk's not working, we're on Facebook Live, we're on YouTube Live. And if you want to call into the On Air Everywhere Network, the number is flashing across the screen. So let me welcome you to my tiny house. Welcome again. We are continuing our discussion tonight with Audrey Williams because she had an amazing, momentous event. She had an amazing event yesterday, and she's going to come and share that event with us. And we're going to build a new bridge because they walked over the Selma, Alabama bridge, but we're going to build a new bridge tonight. So join us as we raise the consciousness on a new bridge with Sister Audrey and 20 million women strong. But first, let's greet our Female Solution family all over the world.
Talk Radio. Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution. Join me, Naima Latif, every morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, as we bring you stimulating discussions about the issues affecting our lives. If you're listening online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution, press the blue button that says follow and get our daily topics every morning directly to your email and your smartphone. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, Executive Producer of the Female Solution Radio Show. We invite you to call in 515-605-9325 and participate in this daily think tank as we examine the challenges we face and develop solutions that restore peace and harmony. We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, hola. In Italy, ciao. In Egypt, ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, akwaba. In Nigeria, peleo. In South Africa, sawubona. In Senegal, nangadef. In Kenya, jambo. In Israel, shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the on-air radio network called 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you.
All right, we're back, and I'm trying to log into Air on Air Everywhere Network, but it's taking a little time. So let us keep moving. And as always, I want to drum in with Becca Shea, because this is an important event for tonight's number 10 and the energy around moving forward with more consciousness. So let me bring in Becca Shea. Get your drums out. Let's drum together and bring in the ancestors and the energy of the number 8 so we can move forward as we always do.
And has blood has ransomed people for God. From every tribe and language, people, every nation. Where warriors are falling, there's a resurrection coming. It's your time to rise and shine. Wake up, you sleeping giant. The wounds of injustice are being healed by the peace of Yahweh. It's bringing us power through unity. Where warriors are falling, there's a resurrection coming. Tribals come alive. Yeah, wake up, you sleeping giant. Your heartbeat, feel it. Yeah, I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. Yeah, I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. I feel it, yeah, I feel it. Yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry, yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry, yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry out, out. Your heartbeat, oh, your heartbeat. This is the hour to know whose side to stand by. Raise up a standard in battle for every fellow tribe. Warriors are fighting, there's a revival igniting. Search for such a time. Yeah, arise, you blazing fire. Faith and stand firm and listen to your destiny. The rhythm of our Father moves with victory. Where warriors are fighting, there's a revival igniting. So, my soul, God, and arise, blazing fire. Your heartbeat, I feel it. Yeah, I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. Yeah, I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. I feel your heartbeat, I feel it. I feel it, I feel it. Yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry, yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. Together we cry, yes, you are. Bring us together, bring us together. We cry out, out. Your heartbeat, oh, your heartbeat.
All right, all right. I think, hope we don't have an echo here. Trying to, let's see, get into on air everywhere. All right, let's just get started here. I don't know what that is. I've got some weird things showing up, but all right, we're back. Thank you so much for joining us. We are ready to go. We're going to have our guest joining us very shortly. Yesterday, Audrey and maybe 20 million strong women participated in a march across the Selma Bridge. And so we want to talk today about what happened yesterday. What was the energy there yesterday in that momentous occasion? And I want to also bring in today's moon calendar affirmations. Today on the 13 moon calendar is a Kin 84. And as I was reading it, it just seems so relevant to where we are right now and where we're going. So I want to just bring in, I don't know what happened, bring in a few words from the 13 moon calendar almanac. Really, it's an almanac. And the first affirmation today was organize in order to target. Now, I thought organizing 20 million woman strong march is a lot of work, okay? So what is the purpose of organizing a march across the Selma Bridge back and forth to commemorate the civil rights event to increase the voting rights of women? Well, in order to target, I would say ignorance, because there has been so much ignorance in the community that started that movement, that continues that movement, that we're going to target. We're organizing today and yesterday order to target ignorance in the community. We've got to dissolve the ignorance if we're going to raise our consciousness. And then the second affirmation for the calendar of the day is balancing awareness. Whoa. Now, awareness is another word for consciousness. So if you are reading in your spiritual readings and books and things, and you see awareness, just think consciousness. And it's really an awareness of consequences. What is going to happen if I make certain choices? That's the key. What happens if I make certain choices? So we are there. We are there right now in a galactic sense of planetary movement and all the things that are happening now on our planet with politics and elections. This is the time to balance awareness. Many people are so unconscious that they're out of balance with the Creator's love, compassion, wisdom. And then we have those who are traveling, evolving into more consciousness as we wake up to the fact that there's got to be more to this journey than watching Netflix and doing what we do, having babies and all that. There's got to be more to it. So many of us are on that journey to explore and get into the areas that we have been unfamiliar with all this time. And we're evolving, we're learning so many new things. And then another affirmation in the 13 moon calendar was sealing the input of flowering with rhythmic tone of equality. Equality really comes up, especially when you think of the march of Selma and over the Selma Bridge years ago. Equality was key for women getting the right to vote. And then finally, being guided by my own power and double that. So today is the day to affirm all of those truths today. And as we join Audrey, there's Audrey. And I guess I'm spelling your name wrong, Audrey. I just looked at the way you're spelling. Did I spell your name wrong? I think you're on mute. Somebody's on mute. Let's see. Okay, unmute yourself. Are you muted, Audrey? Okay. Can you unmute yourself? Okay, I still see you're muted. Down on the left lower corner, there's a mute button. Maybe you pushed that by mistake, or unmute, hit mute that on. It should be a red line across it at the bottom to unmute, because I can't unmute you. Let's see. Can't unmute your guests because they chose to mute themselves. Okay. So if there's a button down on the left, it should be a button on the right, left end, bottom left on your screen that says mute, and then just click on that and it should unmute you.
Okay, I'm here. I was looking in the wrong space. Hello, sister. How are you?
I'm good. I wanted to call you and just say, are you exhausted after yesterday? I fully understand if you just want to rest. It seemed like, such an exhilarating event, but you know yourself better than anyone, and you've been on this journey for a while. So I'm glad you're here. That's the main thing, is I'm glad you're here.
Yes.
And Blog Talk's not working again. So I hope I'm on the On Air Everywhere screen so people can call in. But we still have Facebook Live, YouTube Live is still here. So if you have friends might call you and ask, well, what's going on? Blog Talk's not working. No, Blog Talk's not working again.
Oh, okay.
So they can call the number that's flashing across the screen, 727-731. And I hope I've got that on my phone right now. So I hope people can hear it when they call in. So okay. Welcome, my sister. How are you feeling? That's my first question. How are you feeling after a busy day, I'm sure, yesterday?
Yeah, well, I feel invigorated. I was a little sluggish this morning, so I took the day and just focused on myself, getting some rest and eating well and drinking lots of water because it was very hot yesterday. But the energy of just being on the bridge with these beautiful sisters who were committed, to connecting with that vibe that you get. You know what I mean? When you're on the bridge, you've been there. So, it's just, there's this energy that comes in, right? So it was just wonderful being with like-minded women, 4 generations of women.
Wow.
So it was beautiful. Mm-hmm.
That is awesome. So did you have, what do you estimate the number of women who were there?
I think we had about 100, maybe 120. We were hoping to have a much larger turnout, but we were happy with that,
when it's hot too.
Yeah, it was hot. The hurricane came through. That shifted some of the people who were coming and so forth. But that's okay, because the power is in the hearts of the people who are there,
Absolutely. So how did the hurricane affect you in that area?
Well, our area mostly was, we had a few floods, but in our little community here, we did very well. And we were very grateful. We came off of a tornado at the beginning of the year that really devastated our community. So I was grateful that we did not have, a lot of flooding and damage to property and so forth. Yeah.
Okay. Low, maybe she can turn it up on. Okay, your volume on the on air is wait a minute. Maybe I can just put the phone. Okay, I'm shifting my phone now. I had my phone, so I think it'll be better now that I'm shifting my phone.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, just so Audrey, as I titled this "Building a Bridge to Higher Consciousness." After our great conversation on Friday, it just seemed like, okay, the next step is to build a new bridge.
That's right.
So how do you feel about the title, Building a Bridge to Higher Consciousness?
I love it because one of the themes for our event on the bridge was we walked across the bridge to honor the past, to honor our ancestors who and those who are still living that were there, to honor them, and having the tenacity and the determination and the strength and courage to walk across there on Bloody Sunday. And then what we did, we turned around and we walked back to the other side, And that represented that bridge, the bridge to the future. So we honored the past and we walked the bridge to the future, and just talked about what does that mean for us, and what is the energy that's being expressed. Are we getting people out to realize how important it is to vote? And I'm not influencing anybody's particular vote, but women have so much power. And I think often we think of ourselves as the minority, whereas in fact, as I said, the last time we had a couple of days ago, I said, that 51.1% is who we are in America. So we have a lot of power to be able to step forward and step into that power, but we have to engage and find out what's calling us and really live that. I mean, I know, Dr. V, I hear that in your messages so often. It's about what's in the heart, what's calling us forward. And so your answer to your question, building a bridge to higher consciousness, is really, you captured the theme right there.
Well, how did the women, were there any men in the march yesterday?
Oh, yes, we had some men as well. And they were so beautiful, so helpful. So just there to be a support, and which is what we love to see. And the women who came, they were really impacted by not only being on the bridge, but we had Miss Lowry there, who at 15 years old was there on the bridge that day, and she spoke about how she had 30 some stitches after everything that happened. She had been locked up several times because of her participation in different protests and so forth. And so she was just telling her story, and she said, I have this statement, and I want you all to take it with you. She said, if you are choosing not to vote, then this is what I want you to tell somebody. She said, at 15, I was arrested 9 times. On Bloody Sunday, I received 36 stitches. And she went on and named these things during that time of protest here in Alabama. And she says, just tell them, do it for her. Do it for her. And so I was, just these gems. And then we had a family, 4 generations of women, the great-grandmother, the grandmother, the mother, the daughter. And that was just so beautiful to see. And they were such a gift, such a gift. So I would say that it was amazing to see that. And all while I'm talking about just those 2, there was the pouring of the libation, and we want to thank Iyabade for that. Sister Iyabade with Tuskegee. She's a city councilwoman. So I want to thank her, and I really have to give a big thank you to Olivia, who really was there every minute of the day and coming up with ideas, and which is everything that needs to happen when you're having a program. And my partner Karen, even though she had gone through some surgery, was there helping us. So it was a true sister relationship, partnership to do this. And as I said, surrounded by the men who love us and supported us throughout. I know that I would like to make a statement, if it's okay, Dr. V, right here. Okay. I just wanted to also say thank you for making that connection to building a bridge to higher consciousness, because whether we're talking about 20 million women strong, walk across the bridge, or we're talking about what's going on in our lives or in the visions that we're holding for ourselves, there's a bridge that has to be crossed. And sometimes we get intimidated by that bridge. We may feel that it's too much, but a bridge is a bridge. It's a way forward. It's a way to that next step, and I just wanted to make sure we brought that in, because that's a very powerful statement.
Well, you mentioned the libation,
mm-hmm.
which made me think about religion and spirituality.
Yes.
And some people who are Christians or in other religions, they might not even know what a libation is, because that's not really something that was practiced in Christianity, right?
Right.
Can you explain what that is? And where I'm going is the bridge.
Yes.
Do we want to consider that libation should now be a part of our lifestyle, and even if we're Christians? So what is explain to our audience what happens with the libation, purpose of it, and how?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the libation then. The libation is basically an opportunity where we get to acknowledge our ancestors, and we get to call their names. We get to give thanks to the earth. We get to give thanks to all those who are present. But we call on the name of our ancestors to continue to work with us and guide us. And that's a very important piece. I work with Indigenous communities around the world. I'm part of the Worldwide Indigenous Science Network. And every Indigenous community that we have been in, believe me, we've been in many, there is this, whether it's called libation or has a different name, there is this acknowledgement of the ancestors for them being the bridge, that got us to where we are today. So I don't see that as necessarily a religious piece. I see that as a spiritual piece of our continued work. And also as we continue to gain our own greater insight and understanding of who we are. Think about, I'm sure I think about sometimes things I do and I'm like, wow, my grandmother used to talk about that, or, Auntie so-and-so used to do this. And here I am doing it, So yeah, so libation is very important. And it's important for another reason too. One is we want to honor our ancestors who really, that's why we're here. But we also want to continue to receive from them the guidance and the knowledge that they have and continue to relay to us as we go forward. So it's very important. And libation is usually a pouring of water, either onto the ground, onto the earth, or into a flower pot. Again, that connection between human beings and the earth itself. And so that's a very important part of what we do in every ceremony and every gathering that we have.
Now, see, I have Christian friends who believe they describe that as talking to the dead, and they say that goes against scripture, and that's not something they're going to do, blah, 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 blah. So I think this is the first bridge we need to build to higher consciousness.
Yes.
Because for those of us who came out of religion and Christianity, and I would like to hear a little bit about your religious background, because that's the bridge we're building. As we experience religion in our childhood, Sunday school, Methodist church. My grandfather was a pastor of a Church of God in Christ. Went to his community in Southern Illinois every summer, had a wonderful time, loving person. It was all about Jesus, no libations. And yet my grandparents have very strong Native American heritage.
Yes.
There was no libation in there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they took on the Christian religion totally.
Yes.
What's been your experience with religion and Christianity? I assume you were raised in?
Yes, I was raised in the Episcopalian church. My parents were there from, literally my great-grandparents were a part of it in terms of even building the building. And of course, we were all a part of that. And if you didn't go to church on Sunday, you couldn't go to the movies that afternoon, that kind of thing. But religion is very interesting, and you can look at it from a number of perspectives. If you look at the historical aspect of Christianity, not looking at it from a spiritual book, but the historical aspect of it, what happened during all these years, right? And you get to see how the misuse of Christianity and its development, it was so connected with a lot of the shift that was happening in the European countries at the time. And so religion became not only a way of surviving. Many people say, well, if it wasn't for Jesus, I wouldn't have made it through. And I understand that as a concept. But also it was, religion was used as a way of oppressing. And this can be very controversial, often in communities where we're talking about, faith-based traditions, as well as maybe something like New Thought or embracing your indigenous connection. There's a lot of disharmony. Often, I guess you could say that. And so I find myself in that. I am a New Thought minister. I'm not at a particular practicing center anymore because I'm doing my own thing. But my whole position is, we have to know who we are. We've got to understand. I said, from a historical perspective, it can be quite wrenching, gut wrenching, as you read through some of the Bibles that are available. And then looking at what was left out of the Bible. Council of Nicaea, when certain books were chosen specifically because this was during the rise of the European Empire. And so it was, there were certain books that were left out, particularly those that had to do with self-empowerment and so forth. So, that's a big question you're asking. And many people are very much connected with either their religion, whatever that religion may be. And a lot of people are still connected to their indigenous faith and beliefs. And so how do we bring the two together? I'm not one to say you should be doing this or you should be doing that. I'm the one that will say you need to honor everybody. We need to honor. When I'm sitting out in the desert in the Kalahari with the Bushmen, I'm not worried about if they're Christian. I'm worried about who they are and who we are together. What are we creating together? We're on the bridge. We weren't trying to figure out who was in what. We sang all kinds of songs, right? But again, it's how do we move from separation to coordination, to communication, where we can allow each other to be who we are as we grow and emerge and evolve. That's the most important thing. And yet sometimes it's where we receive more and more resistance to our own personal growth from those that love us because they think they're doing the right thing. But there may be a call. I mean, there was a call in me to step outside of everything that I knew, and to walk on a path that I knew I was being spiritually led to do, which led me around the world and all over the place. But I was doing what I knew I was called to do, regardless of how anybody else looked at it. That's the love and the respect that I pray that we can find amongst ourselves.
I was on you. Thank you, sister. It just reminds me that we're very divided in this country, even among the Native Americans. And I saw a discussion about who's an American and how many of us don't feel like we're African American because we didn't go. We weren't in Africa. But many, like myself, feel like I'm a Native American. We were here first, and then we had Europeans come here. But to bridge, I think, the current population with spiritual practices like libation, it seems like we have to ask people to do some research.
Yes.
Because the Native Americans were, using the buffalo for everything. The teepee, food, clothing. And then we have a more modern society who doesn't even think like that one animal could be sacrificed for so many things. So it just shows that people aren't doing their homework. We have accepted the indoctrination by United States government schools. And now we have to undo that education. I have a friend, if you've ever heard of the Crow Nation, I went there for 5 days, thanks to Mama AZ.
Okay.
introduced me to Peggy, well-known Buffalo.
Mhm.
So I spent 5 days on the Crow Nation reservation. Oh, was that an education? I got exposed to everything from child trafficking and just corruption in the government there, and horrible food situation, just everything.
Yeah.
But one thing I realized, Peggy is very good at maintaining the practices of her youth, the language, keeping the language going, the food. Some of the she's starting, I think, to ferment food and pickle food like they used to, and so she has a beautiful cafe and a land that is promoting the old ways of the natives. But then on the other hand, all this, the diet is terrible and so many things. So they're like halfway in the new world or new practices of American ways, and then still trying to maintain the native ways.
Yes.
So when we talk about bridging, for me, it's like, how do we end this division
Mhm.
amongst our community, and even in the country? We've got so much division, and it seems like you've done, give a little history of where we've come from. People
Yes,
seem to remember where we've come from.
that's right.
And I hear Craig is saying you look like you're his mom, half Lakota, half black. Are you Lakota by chance?
No, I'm Cherokee and Lumbee.
Cherokee and Lumbee. Well,
Yeah.
you look like my relatives too, so we just know. All right, Craig, she's in the family.
Thank you, Craig.
And
Let me just say, because you're touching on something very, I think it's critical to our survival as human beings. We're going to have to go back to remembering who we are and doing the work, because, for instance, simple things. We talk about climate change. In many of the indigenous communities, they understood how to take what was needed for what they need, whether it was food or clothing, transportation, what have you, but also to honor and respect what was, say if you're in the Amazon, respecting the environment. And so you didn't kill just to be killing an animal, or you didn't just cut down trees just to be cutting down trees. Everything was sacred. And even here in America, in the different tribes, you'll notice when you go to ceremony, anytime I've been to ceremony, even when I was up at Standing Rock when we were protesting the pipeline, when you drove into the camp area, there were buckets full of sage, and the cars were saged underneath and on top. And it was all about creating the sacred space. And so on the one hand, I'm talking about how we communicate, what we make special, what do we make holy? Okay. Are we making the water holy? Are we making the land holy? Are we making our relationships holy? That's the piece. And a lot of times we get caught up in the marketing aspect of a product, and we get confused and we become a marketing product of the self. And that's a very dangerous place to be, because then you're looking at yourself in relationship to the stuff around you and what accelerates you, what makes you happy. But that happiness is short term. That happiness doesn't bear fruit in the way that, and I'm not talking about just general happiness. I'm talking about we want more and more and more stuff, or we think we don't have enough stuff, so, and then we forget, well, what is holy? What is sacred? Why is solstice sacred? Why is why do certain constellations have an impact, or the orbit of the moon? Why are we using a Gregorian calendar instead of a lunar calendar? There's so many questions. Why do we throw away so much food? Why do we, just take so much for granted? And I know I'm on a soap opera, but this is my thing. If we're going to thrive and survive at this time when we're already seeing the examples, the earth is already saying to us, wake up. You got to change your ways. You got to, we've got to do things a little bit differently. But the response to that is minimal, literally. Now, there's small communities all over the world that are starting to bring back the old practices to protect and ensure they have water or they have food, But we don't think about that here in America because we have a disposable society. If it runs out, then throw it away. But we're going to have to learn new habits. We've got to grow our gardens. We've got to honor the earth. It's so important. And, Dr. V, I'm not trying to beat a drum here, but we are so close to the worst thing that we could happening. And yet at the same time, we are the ones who can make the difference. So it's really coming down to now, are we willing to remember who we are and what we are in relationship to all living things? Once we get that, then we will live a life that's really worth living. And I'm not saying life isn't worth living. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying the kind of life that allows each generation to come to have an assurance that they can be a part of this world. A lot of kids right now are asking the question, they're really concerned about their future.
Yes, and I'm studying to learn new things about, like you said, the calendar. Why are we still on this Gregorian calendar? Well, not many people are interested in teaching something new. Mm-hmm. So that's why I joined the synchronistic human family with Neb Taharka, because I'm hungry for new things. And yes. I always tell my audience on Friday morning, health and well-being, in order to avoid Alzheimer's and dementia, you have to learn something new every day. Can't just sit and watch soap operas. Like my grandmother used to do that a lot. Even back in the 60s, she was watching soap as the world turns. That was her thing. And she got overweight and she was busy as a pastor's wife, though. Anyway, I digress. But I feel like we as elders and as grandparents, we need to teach the new things that we're learning to the younger generation.
Yes.
There's a phrase Mama AZ uses, the kitchen talk table, or kitchen table of wisdom, something like that.
Yes.
And that's what I'm using that in my family, is whenever the grandchildren show up, I'm there in the morning before they go to school. And I insist they don't go watch TV with a TV tray. They sit at the kitchen table and we have conversations. Somewhat, we were talking the other day about whose responsibility is it to teach Black families Black history. Someone was upset that they're taking that out of the schools. I don't know. I think we may have talked about that. That they're taking Black history out of the schools and critical race theory out of the schools. And I was talking with my son that's not their responsibility, in my opinion, to teach our children about their heritage, their culture. Mm-hmm. That should be every family's obligation and intent and goal that have small children, to make sure they are learning at home.
That's right.
So I think part of the bridge building is looking at our children's education differently. Vivek Ramaswamy is one of those politicians who wants to eliminate the Board of Education at the federal level. I'm 100% in agreement with that. It's like, get rid of them. But then we're divided even on that issue. Mm-hmm. People are like, you can't do that. We're going to get rid of teachers. That people lose their job. Blah, blah, blah. What have they done? I mean, let's look at what having a federal Board of Education system has done for our children in this culture of Native Americans and African Americans, if you choose. But what has the federal government done for our children? Not much, to me. Put them on laptops in schools. Are they learning about their culture? No. And so I really think it should be at a local level and especially at a family home level.
Yeah.
But what do you think about that? If one of the changes that needs to be made is to emphasize education at home and in the local community.
Well, I think that's a value. That's a value that we need to reinstall in our communities and in our families. One of the things that happened, unfortunately, as a result, when we went to both parents working, it gave less time, parental time, for the children. So a lot of our children now are coming home from school with their own latchkey, and they're pretty much on a level raising themselves. And I'm not saying everybody, but I'm just saying that if you look at the bigger scope,
yes,
and there's not a lot that we can do about that, because the cost of living is high and all of that. So I think each family has to figure that out for themselves. How do I give time to my children? That's number one. Number two, I believe that I really like the Saturday school concepts, where children have an opportunity for a half a day, just go and learn about their history. I don't think we would get our history in a regular school system. I mean, if you go back, I'm a historian. I love history. So if you go back to John Henry Clark and so many others, you'll find that there's a deeper history when we look at the cradle of civilization and what that story is. That, we were even here before the Europeans came. And so we had a connection with the Native American communities. It wasn't unusual. That's been proven that happened. In fact, if Christopher Columbus, on his second time trying to make it to India, but coming to America, he had to go to Ghana. I think it was Ghana, to get a captain to help navigate for the ship to make it to
the Caribbeans and America and all that.
That's right. I used to live in St. Croix, so that was one of the stops. But the point I'm trying to make is, do we know that about our history? Do we know about the Moors and the sciences? Do we know about the University at Timbuktu and thousands and thousands of volumes of books that are now being transcribed so that we can learn more about it? And then you look at Egypt. You look at, I may say this too often, but I just feel that one of the most amazing experiences for me when I talk about being with the Bushmen is seeing how they live in this very harsh environment. So when we learn about our history, we learn that we come from all different places. We come from where it's cold, to where it's hot, from where it's water, where it's no water. And we have learned how to survive, and these last few 750 years, 800 years have really taken a toll on all of society and Mother Earth. So I'm not beating down our society. I mean, I think there are parts of it that are very, very good. But I think we also need to take pause. We've got to say, the Messiah say, how are the children? Not hello, how are you? Their first greeting is, how are the children? Maybe we need to ask that every day. How are the children?
Oh, yeah. But we've got some selfish adults which would answer that in a way that they think the children are fine because they're fine. Or, we're confused on so many levels. But I was thinking, Morgan Freeman was asked about Black History Month by a reporter. He was being interviewed. And he said he doesn't believe in Black History Month. He said, you're a European. Do we have a European History Month? And the guy said, no. I think it was Matt Wallace who was interviewing him. And he said, no. He said, Black history is every month. Can you imagine teaching about the Civil War and not recognizing the number of dark-skinned soldiers who were involved? Now, why they were there? If we were to teach American history, every aspect of American history has either Native Americans or Africans that were involved in that history. So it's a matter, I think, of recognizing that this educational system needs to be redone or eliminated or restart over or something. But that's the first step, in my opinion, is education. Our young
Yeah,
people.
I think education is critical. It always is, because that's going to determine the future, right? And so that obviously is extremely important. The other piece I was going to say is we have to get real. We've got to be honest with ourselves. And we've got to begin looking. You know, when we walked around the world, 4 years going around across 6 continents, and we never had any money, but we knew that faith was our currency. Not necessarily, not a religious kind of faith, but faith that faith that's between you and God. And so, and my mother in a wheelchair, final stages of Alzheimer's. People said we were crazy, but we did it. We went around the world. When I got back to America, when we got back to America, do you know what the most challenging thing was for me?
The food.
Nope, not the food. The
Okay.
most challenging thing for me that shocked me into almost, I had to go on a silent retreat so I could recalibrate how much we complain
Oh, yeah.
and not do. You know, I mean, we were in countries where all a woman had was a pot and one burner, and she would cook the best meal in the world and have enough to invite us in to sit down with her family and eat. And we complain and complain and complain, not necessarily with an expectation of an answer. We've gotten stuck in the complaint. You know, we're stuck in there. Somebody needs to pop it, like you pop a balloon, stick a little hat pin in there and pop it, so we can get beyond the complaint and every day wake up and say, what can I do today that's going to make my life better, my children's life better, and the children yet to come? What can I do today that's going to make the earth stronger and more vibrant? What can I do today to make my relationships whole? You know, and that's major.
Well, because of technology and the internet, we can take our children to those nomad places.
Right.
In fact, I let my granddaughter watch a YouTube nomad documentary while I was doing her hair one night. And this woman, they didn't even have a house. They were sleeping in a tent, 5 children and her. And we were like, where's the husband? But anyway, she gets up early in the morning, like you said, one pot, one makes a fire, feeds the goats, does all these things within, I'd say it was about a 45-minute video. And it was like amazing. How could anybody live like that? And so what I'm hoping that my granddaughter is remembering that that's why you don't complain about the lifestyle. You have 2 houses because they go back and forth from their moms and their dads. And when that's what I'm like you, Audrey, when you've traveled to places where people are not as fortunate and rich as America, throwing away food, and you really come back, I will complain. Oh, the complaints! Get away!
Yeah, see what's really like in the world.
But that's the good thing about technology. We can teach our children how people are living all over the world. Just have them sit down and watch some YouTube videos.
That's right. That's right. And I think I've been a little remiss in maybe a role that I should be playing, and we should be. We're talking about trying to document all the photographs and our experience of going around the world. So that's something that we could share with our children, you know, and every one of us has some experience that is worth millions, you know, in terms of the spiritual nature of who you are. And if we focus on that rather than, I don't know, something that really has no meaning, then we can really begin to raise ourselves up. And that's what really 20 Million Women Strong is all about. You know, we were there on this particular time, you know, because it's election time. We want people to get out and vote. I don't care how you vote, but vote, make it known. Now, that doesn't mean that just because you vote, things are going to change. But let me tell you, if you don't vote, then it's even less so. I just want to encourage people to do it. I'm not making anybody do anything, but that's what that was. But 20 Million Women Strong is all over the world. We're doing things everywhere. And so the thing is, if you've got a passion for something, embrace that passion. And if you don't know how to do it yourself, find somebody like Dr. V's talking about going, you can look on YouTube and learn just about anything in the world, right? Find something that lights you up. Because when you're going around with a frown on your face all the time, you're not living your best life. Don't let anybody fool you. You're not living your best life. So it's time for us to start figuring that out, reconnect with the earth. We're talking about, there's so many things going on right now. This is a fertile ground for us to move into the highest of who we are and really embrace that. So, I just pray that we all find that special something inside of us first. And let's resonate there to the point that, and you talk about that, Dr. V, and all the work that you do and the ways that you embrace body movement and eating and all, you're bringing something that's so valuable to our society, because we need to remember, we need to go back and retrieve. How do you make a good meal for yourself? How do you support yourself like that? And so I just really want to just honor you in that. But, we've got to get real about life. It can be so beautiful and so amazing. But if we get stuck in the rut, life becomes a very challenging thing.
Well, I want to talk more about the division in this political atmosphere that we have. But let me read some of the comments here. We do have a few comments from Zelda, who is our Monday morning mindfulness host. She says, grand evening, libation, a lifestyle. Yeah, it's like those are the simple things that we need to teach our young people. Calling on the ancestors, awesome. We do it on Monday morning mindfulness. Thank you for the continued reminder, Audrey and Dr. V. Yes. And Craig is here. He says, tuning in from North Dakota. Thank you, Craig, for showing up. And yes, she looks like your mom. We love that. She looks like my sister. So we're in the family here, Craig Van. And then Kwame, it says, greetings, Audrey.
Oh, greetings, Brother Kwame.
So nice of you to join us. Sorry, Blog Talk's not working again. So I'm just glad we can pivot over here to Soul Purpose or Facebook and YouTube. And then the 13-month lunar calendar would definitely change how we feel. Since I've been studying that, oh boy, I feel like when I look at the Gregorian calendar, the division, the confusion, and if you read the history of that calendar, that's why we have continued on non-ending wars.
Yes.
Because the energy, if you imagine the energy of using that type of system, energy, timing, control, planning, or when it's really kind of chaotic, 31 here, 30 here, no reference to the moon on that calendar too much. And then we've had these wars that keep going. So to me, it's a spiritual thing. Thank you, Craig. It will change how we feel. And that's exactly what I'm experiencing.
Yeah. And that's really important, Craig. Thank you for bringing that back up. In nature, 13 is a very powerful number. For instance, a turtle shell on the back has 28 squares on the outer rim of the turtle shell, and then in the middle there are 13 sections representing the 13. So right there, if you have a turtle, and I used to keep a turtle shell, but it got crushed in the tornado. But anyway, you've got a calendar right there. It's perfectly, I used to, a lot of the elders I've studied with are no longer alive, but Dr. Haile Makua, incredible historian and just spiritual person in Hawaii. He always said that the Gregorian calendar is a calendar of what was it? It's the commercial calendar, right? And the lunar calendar is the sort of the heart calendar, and it's and the heart, because it connects us to all things. And so the Gregorian calendar is this all about competition, scheduling events, and blah 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 blah. Whereas the lunar calendar gives you exactly what you said, Dr. V. It gives you that peace. It gives you that feeling of being connected to something, that we're all a part of.
Yeah. So all of these things will build our consciousness, and our children need to be introduced to, exposed to as much as possible. Yes. Because they have tablets that are influencing them in so many ways. It's our commercialism. I got to have this thing. I got to have that. I need more material things. Oh my goodness. I hear that Naima says we have 2 callers on our network. Unmute. If you unmute your phone, my phone is here. Let me make sure. Unmute your phone if you're on air network, and we can probably hear you. If you have a comment or a question.
Got it.
Yes, go ahead.
Greetings, Audrey.
Greetings.
Kwame. Anyway, it's good.
Hey, Kwame. Okay, I thought that was your voice. I said, well, let me not put a name to it until I'm sure.
Yeah, and, I'm grateful that Beata's gotten to have this time to know you, as I've known you since before you walked around the world, when we were with Tom Blue Wolf up there in 2000.
Yes.
Because I met Audrey when she did the Underground Railroad. She walked back through the Appalachians, came back to Georgia, and there on Spelman campus in the courtyard, we met.
Yes.
Small world, huh? And here we are.
And it's Kitchen Table University.
Thank you. Thank you. Kitchen Table University. We don't have to, but we should be practicing that whenever we can. Even if you go to a stranger's house, they invite you to dinner, or if you have an opportunity to sit down to a meal with someone, don't let it be in front of a TV screen. Let's take the opportunity to have a meal with conversations. And I think that's one of the ways we can connect and raise our higher consciousness, because there are some things I know, Kwame knows, the people who are listening know, that we need to share with what I say are unconscious people. Oh my goodness. There's so many of them. But if we have more healthy conversations, then we can build their awareness, which is what I read about yesterday, is building, organize in order to target, balancing awareness. The awareness is so out of balance right now. We've got, even in this political scene, we have to bring that up, because we were fighting for voting rights, right? That was what the march across the bridge was for, right?
Right.
Women wanted to be included when they were excluded, right?
Yeah, women and the people of color, period. Because back then you were still counting beans to determine whether you could vote or not. I mean, just all kind of crazy practices.
So now, fast forward, everybody can vote, and they want to have people who don't even live here voting. So it's crazy. They got illegals. They want to give the illegals vote, migrants, everybody. Yeah, let's have everybody vote. The political, in my opinion, let me say, the political show circus is crazy right now. And I think the more we learn about it, for me, like I've been saying, I'm voting for me for president, because here's the thing. I realize it's more important for me to get my act together rather than choosing somebody who I think might help the country, who I think is on the right mindset, or who I think is a good choice to go around the world and represent America. This is my position. So I'm trying to educate people on whoever you choose, do your homework, because you're going to make a selection. And then in the long run, that person that you selected may disappoint you. A lot of people are disappointed at Obama. Oh my goodness. I talked to so many people who voted for him twice, and now they regret it. So we think, for instance, that the color of the skin is important, the gender is important, and I say educate yourself. First of all, take care of you. Make sure your consciousness is there, because my concern, Audrey, is a lot of unconscious people are going to go in the voting booth and select for reasons that are not going to benefit the collective whole, to, or the country for that matter. Because look at the situation we are in now with bombing the hell out of everybody. If you look at Lebanon, we're bombing Lebanon because that's our weapons. If you look at Iran, we're just trying to destroy Iran. All these people, all these countries that we are familiar with, because there's Facebook, there's YouTube, there's no way you can't be connected to the rest of the world now. So, Audrey, as we're building this bridge of consciousness, how do we rethink about voting? Because it's not like our mothers, grandparents push to vote, and what it would represent and what it would bring to improve our society. We have a horrible situation right now with migrants coming into this country. And it's going to get worse, they say. But how are we going to change that? Your vote is going to change that. If you want to change, you got to vote a change in. And to me, it should be at a local level, especially. What are your local representatives going to do about all these people flooding in here? Some of them criminals, some of them not. I got 2 new ones in my neighborhood. They seem okay. But what do we do, Audrey, with the current state that we're in this country? And how should people be thinking when they go into the voting booth?
I may be going up a different kind of tree in a way.
That's okay. We want to talk about it and get it out.
I think my first thought is this. I think we have to be very mindful about giving people.
We'll get to you soon.
We have to be mindful about how we label people. The biggest immigrants in America have been the Europeans when they came here. So if we want to really go deep in that.
Absolutely.
And so I don't know that I don't have a problem with the immigration piece, only because of this. Because so many people in so many countries have been oppressed as a result of economic practices of the United States.
Yeah.
So maybe this is a payback time.
Oh, yeah.
And not only that, because I have had an opportunity to travel to a lot of places where I'm seeing the impact, severely impact of climate change on communities, which is not just climate change, it's also bad practices change. When you decide to cut down the trees in the Amazon and think there's not going to be any impact on the rest of the world, then you're either crazy or greedy, probably both. So all I'm saying is this: I tend to be very careful about calling anyone out for any particular reason. I believe that politics is a very interesting thing. It's not meant to necessarily do the things that we think of it. A lot of the changes that happen at a local level, and we could probably not pay much attention, except that state funding is coming from the national level. Some of the legal issues that come up and have to be addressed are started at the top. So you have all of that. I believe for me personally, to vote, my voting is in alignment with the best that I can come up with as the person that I affiliate with. And the reason is this: if I vote, and it's everybody has their own opinion, but if we vote in a way where our vote doesn't count, in a critical time right now when we talk about 2025 and all these crazy things that are happening, if we're not mobilized to make a change or a shift, I just look at how can I get the biggest bang for my vote, and that's being selfish, I suppose.
No, but it's being informed. You're being informed. So we've got a caller on here. I think is that Kofi? Did you want to comment?
Yes, ma'am. First thing, thank you for bringing the information about our history, our Kemetic history when the world was together.
That's right.
Africa, Asia, Australia was all Pangea, one world.
Yes.
As far as the election goes, the black vote is not being represented. Our tax dollars are being stolen. And it's always been like that. And we always try to figure out choosing the less of two evils. You know, you have Trump, who's for his people, and you have Kamala, who's for the immigration. And both of them is not really, they're entertaining us just to get our vote, and which is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we are the people. We are the original people here in America. You can't tell me that my ancestors came on a ship called Jesus. That don't even sit right now, okay? It never happened. It was a indoctrination that they had to create for us to stop fighting and to give up our land. So this is what the Democrat and Republicans are fighting for. They're fighting for our ancestors' land in the deep South. They're fighting for our land. You know, I have inherited land in Texas and Arkansas, so I understand. So I believe in self-preservation. Neither party is going to represent the Negro people. They want, you know, they don't want it to separate. We tried separation, and they bombed Greenwood. They bombed so many of our towns in Florida.
Oklahoma.
They need us. They you know, they don't want us to separate.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe in this next election cycle and next year, black folks, Negro, whatever you want to call us, we're going to start separating ourselves instead of merging in. They want us to merge us into their system where they can marry us and rob us of our DNA and have babies with us. This is going on. This is strong. This is what's going on right now, trying to breed us out of existence. Okay, It happened in 1918 with the Spanish flu. It happened now in 2020 with the COVID. It's, you know, you can go on YouTube, the Spanish flu, the same game. They're trying to breed us out. And so I just represent black culture, which is phenomenal, our inventions, survival, and not turn on each other because they're dividing us. And I call it fake hate.
Fake hate. I have to remember that.
Fake hate towards one another.
Well,
Which is
Audrey,
not-
I'm gonna let Audrey comment on what you just said. Go ahead, Audrey.
Well, I agree so much with what the brother is saying, and I thank you for bringing it forward. I have a different, perception in terms of how to work the system to our own benefit, not necessarily trying to plug into it to fit into that system, but rather how do we make sure we get the grants? How do we make sure we get protection to be business owners of these properties that we have? And you're so right. We're losing so much of our inherited properties and so forth. So you're so right on that. And, how do we begin to build a strong enough foundation that we can be in that position where each one can teach one, where we learn something here, we get it right, we take it to the next community, and we're helping each other. But I think there is that point of intervention. How do we then have this intervention with our regular, the so-called, the society that we live in, to be able to take it even further. Because one of the things that we're often
we have
let her finish. Let her finish.
And everybody's want to hand it down.
Okay, let me finish.
Kofi, let her finish, please.
I'm like, let's build. What you know? What are you gonna do?
Kofi.
It's time to.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so what I was saying was there's strategies that we need to build on, and a great example of that is how we existed before there was integration. I lived in a community that was, and I'm sure we all did, that everybody took care of everybody. Everybody knew whose child was whom. We had our own educational systems. And all of that. And there's something that we lost. My grandfather, who was Native and African, was very much against integration. And everybody thought, "Oh, Granddaddy, you're being too obstinate now. We've got to go forward." And his whole thing was that on an economic standpoint, we would lose everything. And if you remember the first 20 years after integration, many of the businesses collapsed. And so we have to look at those kinds of things, and how do we go back and retrieve what we need right now and put that in play so that we can be stronger and better together. So I think that all of us have different ideas, and that's great. That multiplicity is so important. How do we put it into action to really make our community stronger and healthier and wiser and more integrative with the earth itself?
Well,
it's called, can I share this? And I'll stop talking.
Go ahead. And then we have another caller, so I'm going to get to the other caller. Go ahead.
Okay, is vision, using our vision, okay? That's the most powerful thing. Manifestation. It's the most powerful thing that we use. The mind is powerful. Vision and manifestation. That's what I use. And I'll leave it right there.
Vision and manifestation. Okay. So what that brings to my mind is we need a community that's meditating every day. A community of conscious people. I don't care what color they are. Most of us live in mixed race communities anyway. We got every race that you can imagine in this community. Mm-hmm. I'm just looking for conscious people. I don't care what color they are. I don't need people walking around with a can of beer, throwing the beer on the side for me to pick up later. I don't need people smoking joints and acting crazy. I need some people in the community who want to get together and meditate, have yoga, have potlucks, have picnics, and talk about how can we improve the community. We need to be able to recognize who's conscious and who's not, and then try and build on that. Yes. So Mama AZ, I believe you're waiting to be heard. So unmute your mic.
It's unmuted. Greetings, family. Can you hear me?
Yeah, and Kofi or Kwame, can you mute yours while she's talking?
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Okay, go ahead.
I give thanks. Today is a 1. Yes. And the call-in number adds up to an 8. Okay. And 8 and 1 is 9. That's birthing. The more that I live, the more I understand and understand that numbers are the heartbeat, the gut beat of the whole universe. And thank us, family. Thank us, Dr. V, and thank us, Dr. Lateef, for having this platform. I want to dedicate this show to my brother, Bobby Paris of Vision One Women. He has his journey road. I have my journey road. He doesn't appreciate me talking about my dreams. The dead is dead, Robbie. The dead is dead. It's no such thing. You don't believe in the Bible if you believe that people talk to you from the other side. So Bobby Paris of Vision One Women, this is dedicated to you. Now, Sister Audrey.
Yes, ma'am.
Brother Kofi is right in the middle. Dr. V, you're on the other side. You're bridging Brother Kofi. I wholeheartedly agree with what he said about deciphering or watering down. My children have issues because, and my parents at the time, because I chose to mate vibrationally with someone who was so melanated, he would have to smile in the dark to know that he was there. The purpose, my soul would not allow me to, even though I dated everywhere, would not allow me to mate with anyone that was fair-skinned, Caucasian, Mexican, or whatever, because somewhere in my DNA, I knew that we were being watered down and wiped out, watered down, period. And let me tell you something, families. Melanated, copper-colored people are very, I feel, this is just me, I feel that the more melanated you are, the stronger you are. That's just my opinion. And Sister Audrey, you and Dr. V are family. You favor my people. And it's just so wonderful and healing to look at the two of you today, which is a one, planting seeds and dropping knowledges, is such a healing to my soul. And everything that everybody has said is on point. And one last thing, and I'll be quiet. The marijuana, the gummies, and that you get at the what's that, the lab or whatever they do, the thing that they open up,
dispensary.
They are you help me out here. The dispensary families, especially for melanated station people, they are putting stuff in there to keep you off track, to get you off of the point, to dumb you down, to get you off of the planet. It's just something that I have been researching. So beware of the marijuana and all of that you get at the dispensary. It is not the same. If you can grow your own with your own vibrations. I'm not against Ganji. And until the next time, thank you, Dr. V, Sister Audrey, Brother Kofi, Brother Kwame. Thank us.
Thank us.
Would you like to comment, Audrey?
Oh, I think that I'm loving this tonight as we're all having our conversations together. We're expressing how we feel about our own, what makes us tick, what makes us come alive, what we live for. And even though there's differences in it all, I think that this is really the kind of conversation that we need to have all the time, because, not everybody's going to think the same way, but how do we create a loving space where everybody's point of view has value? That's what I seek in terms of the work that I do. What's the value of where we are? Is this really going to take us further, or are we going to go backwards? And so I'm always open to listening. I wanted to just end, I don't know how far we are into this, but I wanted to share one thing I meant to share if we have about 2 minutes, Dr. V, is that okay?
We got at least 20 minutes.
Okay. One very effective way that my husband and I at the time decided to deal with our children and not knowing their history. Our boys were 3 sons, and they were all in athletics, you know, the Boys and Girls Club and so forth. But we noticed that there wasn't any body, you know, any consciousness developing and emerging. So we decided we needed to take it on. We started a theater company in Washington, D.C. called Uprising. And we took young kids from the Boys and Girls Clubs, from off the streets in D.C. and Maryland. And it was all about history. They studied with Dr. John Henry Clark. They studied with, oh my gosh, Asa Hilliard and Charles Finch, Dr. Finch, and just all these great minds. And these are little kids now, 5 years old up to 18. And that was their classroom, you know, and so they would get to have sessions with them. And then they incorporated what they understood the knowledge to be into writing the scripts. And so our young people, we had a jazz ensemble that was unbelievable, 8 years old to 18. And they got to perform before the National Negro Hall of Fame. They've been to the White House. They've been, all kind of places that you would think, even churches that, you know, where some of the things that they talked about were the same things with us, challenging the audience to really know who they are. And so I would suggest that if you're living in a community, you know, you could start a theater company yourself, and you can teach so much through theater. And we taught the history, but we also taught, it was a contemporary section where the children wrote about their own lives. And so that was the most effective thing we've ever done in terms of affecting young people. And many of them went on to do great and wonderful things. So I would say one of the things that made this important, not just having the historians coming in and different people coming in, but also the parents had to be involved as well. So we got parents involved that had never been involved in things their children were doing, because the parents had to do the lights, they had to do the sound, they had to learn that, and the children perform. So if you have an opportunity, you could start small. Theater is such a powerful, powerful tool for helping us to learn our history and to remember who we are.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you were able to implant that in your children, especially. Did you say you had 3 boys?
I have 3 boys and 17 grandchildren.
That's what I'm wondering. 3 boys and 17 all from 3 boys?
Yes.
Oh, those boys been busy.
I'm telling you, right?
Wow. Which one has the most kids?
My oldest son has 7. I'm sorry. My oldest son has 5. My middle son has 7, and my youngest son has 3.
What in the world? Are they still with their wives or the mothers?
Yes.
You did a great job, honey. I'm telling. Whoa, that is beautiful, beautiful. And so your grandchildren.
Well, actually, my oldest son and wife got divorced, but they're together. I mean, you know, they what do you call it? Parent together. So
what's the youngest grandchild and the oldest grandchild?
My youngest is 10, and my oldest is 24.
Oh, what a beautiful. Now, do they live near you?
No, actually, I'm here in Alabama, and they're mostly in Maryland and Virginia.
Oh, wow. They should be coming there for the winter.
Yeah.
For the winter.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay. But you're no longer married, right?
No, not.
So I want to just mention birthing for a minute. Mom AZ, did I hear somebody had another comment? No? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Did you have another comment?
I do. Sister Audrey, thank you so much for giving me a confirmation, because I'm reaching out to a pastor at this church about Miracle Valley, Arizona, and when one of his congregational members, who was my caregiver at one time, she told me about this church, and they have like a theater setting, and it has always been in my spirit to have a reasoning with that pastor about doing just what you just said about theater. So I get chill bumps telling you this. Thank you. Thank us for that heads up confirmation. I already left a message, but I haven't gotten the response, but that's okay. I'm gonna call him again until he responds. Thank you, Sister Audrey.
All right, you're welcome. Let me know how it turns out.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, see, everybody goes through circumstances, situations, experience, so the next person can have some knowledge and enthusiasm. I'm glad you're enthusiastic about that. And wow, 17 grandchildren. It goes to show you, how did you educate those boys about sex education and the things that most young people don't have a clue about? What was your plan with your family in terms of planning a family? Because you obviously you did a pretty good job.
Yeah, we had, we were very family oriented, and many of the young people that they had friends with and so forth didn't have the same kind of family background. So our home became the place where everybody lived. I mean, you never knew who was in the house at any given time. It became the community home, but I would say the theater was very important. Their athletics was important, but I think one of the saving graces for my children was that they got to go to Duke Ellington School of the Arts. They were all musicians. Oh. And my youngest son was an artist. And that made such a difference because the emphasis was bringing what was inside of them out, whether it was in a theater situation or jazz ensemble or painting, whatever it was there. Each of them had a different specialty. And that again reinforced for us how important theater can be for young people. And then we, like I said, we always had an open home so that any child who needed a space, they could stay. I remember one of our young men came in one night, and he was, about 16 years old. And he came and said, "Mama, I need to talk to you." I said, "What's up?" And he said, "I need to move in with you." I said, "What's going on?" He said, "If I stay where I'm going to stay, I'm going to die." There was a lot of killing in his community. And I think most of his friends had been shot and very drug infested. So he lived with us and until he went on to, as an adult. And he's no longer with us. He had a bout of cancer. But, it's to me, I think I wasn't doing anything that my father didn't and mom didn't do. Our home was always an open home as well. And so I grew up in an environment where, somebody would come and say, I want to spend the weekend and go back home 3 years later, that kind of thing. So I can't remember the question you were asking, but I think what I wanted to bring forward was we can't just talk about things. We've got to find little ways that we make a difference every day. There's something we can do every day that's going to change somebody's life. And it's not important whether we know it or not. I think that's a big thing that I would say too. We got to get the ego out of the way. I mean, we got to feel good about ourselves. Yes. But we got to embody the practice. That goes back to when I was saying coming back from walking around the world. I heard how much whining there was without substance behind it. So if we really want to change, it's got to be in the head and in the heart. We've got to come together and make choices, do what we can, and don't give up the first time something gets tough. If you really believe in what you're doing, go for it. Make a difference. That's what's going to help us get our communities back together and help our children forge a path forward at a time when, you know, they're coming into a world that is very different than anything we've known, you know, and they're going to be challenged with things that we can't even imagine. So we need to fortify them and lift them up, hold them up, because they are going to be the geniuses that pull us through this.
Well, you talked earlier about sacred, recognizing what's sacred. I think that's what is holy. And I think in the turn in the way of sex education, that's what I was getting at with you.
That's why you'd ask me that question, right?
So that to me, your answer was they were so involved in quality activities, educational activities, gaining knowledge, and getting to know what their gifts were, that your sons weren't thinking about, you know, having sex with some girl every day or whatever. And now this society is so sexualized now that we have to look at what our young women are being exposed to, especially the music. Mm-hmm. You talked about music. I'm sure you didn't have any rap songs going in your house, did you?
Well, we had rap songs, but they weren't allowed to say, you know, there was a lot of cussing and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
But so it seems to me one of the bridges we have to build to higher consciousness is helping women recognize their sacred bodies.
Yes.
Get back to holy bodies, because they've lost that. They're out there half naked, trying to pierce ears, pierce everything. And I'm not trying to judge, but are you conscious of your sacredness, and how are you building yourself up in that respect versus trying to look like Kim Kardashian and go and get BBLs and all these other things that women are doing to their bodies that are going to have consequences. Mm-hmm. So I think one of the things I want to leave people with tonight is we need to help our women recognize the sacredness of their bodies again and start using the calendar.
That's exactly what I was going to say. We need
your pregnancies. You know, the thing is, Audrey, I don't think any woman lays down with a man thinking I'm going to have sex, but I don't want to get pregnant. Who does that? Is anybody doing? Women, are you doing that? Laying down with a man and thinking, I don't want any unwanted pregnancies, but I'm going to have sex, casual sex. I don't know what day of the month it is, when I'm getting fertile or what. That's just total ignorance to me that we need to overcome and build on the consciousness that says I can plan when I want to have a baby. That's so simple these days.
Yeah. Well, you know, the other important part of that is, what are the children's mothers? How are they raising them? Or fathers too, because there are a lot of fathers that are raising their daughters too. What are the conversations that are going on around sexuality in the home, so that the child be straight up honest with them, you know, and supportive, and give them alternatives and so forth. If we don't do that, then we can't be surprised why these young women are doing what they're doing. You know, so we have to begin. It goes back to the very beginning of our conversation. We've got to learn how to have the conversations that are not necessarily easy, but we've got to learn to go deep with our children and in our communities, even in our choices that we talked about, voting and all of that. We've got to figure out what is the niche that works for us. If you find something that works, work it. You know, work it.
Yeah. And Kitchen Table University. My granddaughter is 10 years old. She just started her period this year. I guess that's the thing now. And I'm getting ready to have a conversation about the calendar. In fact, I told her you need to keep a journal of when your period starts, when it ends. I didn't say go into any sex or anything like that. I just said, I think it would be wise of you to just know when your period starts every month. Keep a journal just to start the practice of calendar. This is when I'm fertile. This is when I'm not. We're not talking about big boys or have any of that at 10 years old, but start practicing calendar. What day is it? Oh, I had 9 days. No, I had 5 days this month. My period comes on the third day of the month, whatever. We need to start training our young girls in that aspect. Then they have apps now that you can have on your phone.
Right.
That will tell you you're fertile. Little buzzer comes on or whatever. You're fertile now. Don't do that. It's just too easy right now for women to avoid an unwanted pregnancy.
Yes.
So I want to emphasize that to all the women and men and fathers out there. Start your young girls now. Boys too. Boys, you should be asking before you sleep with a girl, do you want to have a baby? No? Well, then what time of the month is it? Let's talk about it. Right. Boys, can we have that conversation with the girls you want to sleep with first? Is that crazy or not, Audrey?
Yeah. So you're giving so much information. I was just going to add, if we also are on that lunar calendar, it also aligns. It will align how the timing will align itself with the 29 days, and it's interesting to look at how much that shift can affect us in our day-to-day lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And so Craig is asking, this kind of went over my head, but can I ask what tribe she is real quick? I imagine he's talking about you.
Okay, Cherokee and Lumbee in the native side, and my African side comes out of Ghana.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Did you have a test, a DNA test?
Yes, I did. Okay. And I have Scott Irish. So,
I'm telling you that those Irish were taking
around.
In fact, most of my mother's relatives have freckles. So that's when I started saying, okay, there's some Irish in there. Those freckles didn't come from Africa, that's for sure. Yeah. And definitely we got Irish. We're working not the plantation, but working the community.
Yeah.
Back in the day. So Locklear, and he says he's saying something. Locklear and what is that? Chavis over here. Okay. He says you might be kin. Okay.
All right.
That'd be interesting. Do you know your kin number?
Yes. Way? Well, I don't remember the number, but I know it's Yellow Electric Warrior. I think is it 16? I don't remember.
Yellow Electric Warrior. Mm-hmm. Okay. What's your birth date? Can I ask?
Sure. June 18, 1955.
Oh, we're born the same year.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so and then Craig, if you tell me your birth date, I'll tell you what kin you are, and then it might be the same as Lori or the same, so we can check that out while we're here. But yeah, but the thing about knowing your kin, to me, we all have unique characteristics, gifts, and we have unique energies, every one of us. When we talk about being a star seed of light that chooses, and Mama AZ talks about this, some of us all talk about this a lot, you chose your parents. Okay, that's something that's hard for Christians to gather, or just people in general. You choose your parents, okay? And then coming into this womb at a specific time on a day and the time and all that energy, it really does shape the person, the individual, because of the connection with the galactic cosmic energy. Oh, it's so exciting to be studying that right now, because I wrote all my relatives' names on the bulletin board on the refrigerator at my son's house, and I put their kin numbers and what their avatar was. And they don't care. They're like, oh, mom, here mom goes again. There's some weird stuff. But I'm starting to memorize it. And here's what I'm really finding, Audrey. I'm respecting their individuality based on that the numbers are all different. All the kin numbers are different. Their avatars are all different. And then the more you read about each person, the more you realize, wow, how unique they are.
Yes.
and that they've come to bring a certain energy and purpose to this planet. What about your 3 sons? I want to ask you that, and then we got about 5 minutes left. Your 3 sons, and I'm going to look up your kin number while I'm here.
Okay.
What about your 3 sons' energy? Did you raise them looking at them as individuals, and did they all act alike, do things alike, or what did you notice about your 3 sons that gave you the wisdom to give them music or whatever?
Well, it was my husband at the time, John, was a musician and a scientist, so that had a lot of influence. And my mother was a musician and an artist. I was more the academic person, and but the thing is that music was always in our house. And once we decided to do the theater company, then John just. My husband just, that he was in his glory, and I did the script writing, and he did the, the music, wrote the music for this, and I had a cousin who was a choreographer. She did that, and then everybody just started coming together. So we were just build on each other's skills. So no one had to know it all. We just learned how to find that right person and put it all together.
Wow. Okay. And then your sons just kind of flowed right along with the music.
They were gifted. I mean, they were very talented. One was a trumpeter, one was a drummer, another one was a tap dancer, and then one was an artist. So
that is so beautiful. And then are their children following in that music experience too?
Some of them are. I had a granddaughter who's 14 that just won a state competition with a poster. She did this beautiful poster with a young girl, and there's this light that's just coming in across here. And she said, the light in the dark is what gives me hope.
Wow.
And I was like, how did you're 14 and you're already there. What is it? These kids are amazing, but all of them have a lot of artistic and athletic talents as well.
Yeah. Wow. So you're a kin 16.
Yes.
And yes, Yellow Electric Warrior. And then Craig, you're kin number 10. Let me see. What is that? Did I get that? No, kin, you're 235. I'm sorry. You're kin 235, which is Blue Magnetic Eagle. So
sounds great.
I know. Well, when you study this thing, it all sounds amazing. Because
White Lunar Wind, kin 2.
What did you say?
I'm White Lunar Wind, kin 2.
Oh, a 2. That's it. White Lunar Wind. That sounds like you too. For some reason, I can see you as a White Lunar Wind. 2.
Audrey,
huh?
Audrey, June 17th was my mother's birthday.
Oh, was it really? Wow.
How about that? So many coincidences. I had a woman, Caroline Chang, is on my Facebook page. She's a very active speaker and author, or she does a lot of speaking. And she posted something about her mother, and her mother's death date was a day before my birthday. Her mother's birthday was significant. We were like, wow, look at all those dates. Numbers. Mama AZ, you had something to say. And she's so right about the numbers. Yeah, it's a significant study to look at numbers, astrology, all of that says a lot about where we're going, where we've been, and who we are. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Mama AZ. And then we have...
Okay, that app, I learned something. I never heard of that before. That app that tells you, that rings a bell like my phone does with taking my vitamins at a certain time. That's interesting, Dr. V. I got to know more about that at another time. But Sister Audrey, would you please be kind enough to reach out to me? Dr. V, did not somebody call in that was a locklear that said you may be kin to me?
Not today that I remember.
Somebody said something might be kin to me.
No, Craig
Okay.
Craig was saying
I thought I heard you say somebody is a Locklear and they may be kin to Sister Audrey, or
Craig,
Sister Audrey may
yeah,
be kin to
okay.
them. I didn't hear that.
Craig said Locklear and Chavis over here. He's Locklear and Chavis. Craig Van.
Well, you know something? Hey, Craig, he's on point because I have 2 rattles, and I shared one with somebody else from the Locklear at the powwow in Lumberton. And
okay.
Think about it. The person that I got those rattles from, they look like you, Sister Audrey. And you please call me because I have something else to share with you, but I can't share it over the phone.
Okay. Now I'll need to get your phone number.
I'll pass it on.
Thank you, Craig, because there's something to the Locklears.
Okay.
And that's all I can say right now.
Well, Craig is waving. Craig is waving at you. So yeah, do you have Craig's number?
No, I used to, but give him my number, please.
Okay.
Dr. V and to Sister Audrey, and we all need to link up with Brother Kwame. This is very, very important. Today is just so significant to me, and I'll leave it at that until we meet up at the Kitchen Table University straight away. Peace.
All right.
All right.
So we are gathering our kins. What'd you say?
The 2
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Today. We're in alignment.
Yeah, there's
that's right, Brother Kwame.
new moon.
That's right. And we have 53 days.
2 moons this month. Is that what you're saying, right?
With a moon in the Kuiper belt.
Wow.
The asteroid belt.
Okay. Is there a solar eclipse or something happening?
Oh, it's alignment. There's a moon that's out in the Kuiper belt, in the asteroid belt in our solar system. The moon is aligning with Earth and our moon.
Okay.
I don't think you can see it though. We can't see the second moon, can we?
25th.
On the 25th? Okay.
We'll have 2 moons until the 25th of November.
Oh, wow. Okay. How's that happen?
We're in the galaxy. This is the what you talk about, the calendar. That's where that calendar comes from. And the galactic year is a year around the Milky Way galaxy.
Wow. Okay. Well, we're moving fast around the planet and everywhere else. So give thanks. Listen, we're almost ready to close. Tomorrow, we want to make sure Zelda, or on Monday Morning Mindfulness, join her for creating generational wealth by becoming our own bank. That's what we need on Monday Morning Mindfulness. Go to youtube.com, Higher Learning TV show. And that's a whole nother subject we could talk about but I think the key thing as far as bridging to higher consciousness is collectively we can do a whole lot if we unify in the communities and come together and build on land or build banks or whatever. So that'll be a great lesson tomorrow. But Audrey, any final words for our audience before we go?
Well, the biggest thing for me is, we can criticize, we can see things that we don't want to see, and we can try to mesh it all up together. But bottom line, love somebody. Just let them know you love them. And it comes back to you tenfold. And that may sound arbitrary, but it's not. At a time like this, we need to be loving each other. We need to be loving the earth, and we need to be walking gently on this earth right now. So that's my good night. And thank you for having me on the show today.
Oh, it's been our pleasure. And love is the answer. What's that?
In Lakesh.
In Lakesh.
Thank God.
I'm another you. Yeah.
I'm another you. All right. So in Lakesh, love and harmony with, I love the ending of the prayer. It says, in harmony with mind and nature.
Yes.
And we didn't talk a lot about nature, but the love, like you said, for our earth, for people, for animals, for birds, for all of that goes in our mind harmonizing with nature is really love, all about love. We can stop these endless wars when people start harmonizing and realizing the mind and nature come together, synchronize. So yes, let's do it, people. Let's put out the love energy.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jaref. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.
And to all my yogi friends out there, namaste, sadnam, and aloha, alahaina, Maui. We love you. Mwah. Sending lots of power, energy to heal the island, my favorite vacation spot. Shalom.